Senor. Come here, baby. I know you love to be on camera. You are a star, sir. You are a star. Can I be your momager? Can I be your momager like Kris Jenner? I'm not a Scorpio, so I won't make the best manager, but I am a Capricorn. And I'll do you good. Come down here, baby. Hey guys, my name is Cameron and welcome back to my channel, Which Way to Wicked, where we talk about all things love, light, and especially tarot. Okay, so guys, today we are going to be spicing things up a bit, okay? Because today, instead of doing a tarot reading, we are instead going to be talking about my tarot deck collection. Okay, so guys, I am so excited to do this video for you, and I'm just telling you right now that I am probably like the biggest talker ever. So if you are the type of person who, you know, you like to look at decks, you like to appreciate decks, and you like to do it all while getting very like minimum amount of like commentary, well, I'm sorry guys, but this is probably not the tarot reading for you because I'm a talker, okay? I'm a talker. I like to hear the sound of my own voice, which is probably why I have a YouTube channel, right? But guys, so I am just going to tell you now, you know, grab yourself like a big old cup of coffee or a hot drink or, you know, maybe even an alcoholic beverage of your choice, and let's go ahead and get into this video today, okay? Okay guys, so for the first part of this video, I am going to be focusing on my mass-produced decks, and then from there, I am going to start talking about my indie decks as well. But for the first deck that I am going to be bringing to attention, we have the Everyday Witch Tarot by Miss Deborah Blake. Okay, so guys, I love this deck so much. It just has such a special place in my heart, and this is just so incredible to me. It has an amazing booklet, and I just think that this deck is amazing for anybody who is new to tarot or for anybody who is trying to dip their toes and get their first like starter deck, right? And this deck for me does have a special place in my heart, like I was saying, because this is actually my first deck, or one of my first real decks that I have really purchased for myself. And so I have some really fond memories with this bad guy here. Now, I did color and edge the sides of the cards in a black Sharpie, and I honestly think I did a pretty good job of it, if I do say so myself. And let me go ahead and just put the booklet right here. Let me close this little case. And now, just taking a look at the back of the deck, we have this amazing freaking like cute little cat and a broomstick, and there's some cute little stars. And guys, this deck, the style of it, this really reminds me of like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So it's really like a light and airy and fluffy type of deck, and that is another reason as to why I say it is a really good starter deck, because if you are somebody who, you know, you're a little bit intimidated by the pictures that are usually depicted with the standard Rider-Waite tarot deck, like I was in particular, then I do think that this is a good deck to start out with, because every picture, you know, just looks like something out of, you know, like a Sabrina TV show, right? It's just incredible. So here is like what some of the decks, or excuse me, what some of the cards look like. It is really, really beautiful. All the colors are just so vibrant and so pretty. If some of these are reversed, I am sorry. I am just pulling this right out of the box that I have for it. This is the Seven of Swords, which I think is a really great depiction. You can tell this girl's trying to be a little bit sneaky and whatnot. But I would say that if you are a beginner and this is going to be your first purchase, if you are interested in learning about reversals, then I would definitely say that you should maybe try to look elsewhere, because if you are a fan of reading the guidebooks, in the guidebook, the author does not give you a reversal meanings or anything like that. So if that is your jam, then, you know, that's not going to be something that you find in this deck. But I do think that, you know, for all intents and purposes, this is a really great starter deck. And I just think that at the end of the day, all of these cards are just so cute, and I just think that it's a great beginner deck, right? Alrighty guys, so keeping with like our mass-produced slash like beginner friendly type of decks, I do have the Anna K Tarot right here. Now this deck does come like with a box, but I did think that the box was a little flimsy. It didn't really keep the cards like all together in the way that I would have liked. So I did go to the local craft store that is near me, Hobby Lobby, and I got this little bad boy, this little bag for like $2, and it's amazing. Like, it works really good. You know, I haven't had anything bad happen to it. So if you are somebody who you are trying to find a little bag to keep your tarot cards in, then I definitely would recommend Hobby Lobby for sure. Especially if you don't want to like pay like $30 for like a tarot bag or something like that, right? This is a very simple solution for that. Okay. But talking about the cards here, I do think that this is an amazing first deck choice. I think that if you are a beginner, this would be something great to go with. Talking about the back of the deck here, I love these backings because I just think that it is so simple yet really elegant at the same time. You know, you can't really tell, but these are little trees right here, and there's a light like surrounding it, and there's 4 of them, as you can see. And you can't really tell, but there are some like white like pin pricks, or like even like it looks like white like paint splatters like on the deck here. It's really small, so it's not as noticeable on the camera, but it is really beautiful. And as you can tell, like with the way that the light is like reflecting off of this is a very like slick deck. It is very glossy, so if that is something that you like, then I would definitely say that this is a good deck choice for you. But taking a look at the actual pictures here, I just really love the pictures. This is the Queen of Pentacles. What really sets this deck aside from all of the other tarot decks, in my opinion, is that this author, the illustrator, excuse me, she truly wanted to make the cards be really relatable. She wanted to make the cards like just have characters that you can just tell like how they are feeling and what they are thinking, right? And I really love that she did that, because with like a standard like Rider-Waite tarot deck, I have a hard time connecting to those decks, because usually the characters that are being depicted on there, they don't really have like facial expressions. They're just kind of, you know, nonchalant, you know, nonplussed, and you can't really tell what they are thinking, you know? So I really love the fact that this woman wanted to make a deck where you can tell what the characters are thinking. And I am going to tell you, I do think that the woman, Anna K, she did a really good job at staying true to the Rider-Waite depictions, but she did abbreviate from it a bit. She did kind of deviate from the standard like Rider-Waite depictions, but I think that in every way that she deviated from it, it just added more to the tarot deck experience. And I just think that every single card here, even if you are a newbie, even if you haven't had a chance to really dive into each individual meaning for the card, you know, you can tell if the card is more of a sad card or if it is more of a happy card. You can tell and just use your intuition and find a pretty accurate reading and find a pretty accurate meaning within your own self just by looking at each of the cards here. So I really think that if you are somebody who you are new, you want to really have a deck that will help your intuition like be unlocked, then I would definitely recommend this deck for sure. And you know, just looking at the Three of Cups, you know, the Three of Cups is all about celebration, and it's all about, you know, having people to talk to, having a good time, and seeing these women here, they all have smiles on their faces. They're literally holding each other's hands right here. You can just tell that this is a happy card. You can tell that this is a card about companionship. You know, looking at the Fool here, he's young, he is holding his little knapsack, and it looks like he's about to like go over a cliff here. You can tell that he's not scared about the unknown, that he is a bit of a fool, right? And he just has this amazing childlike sense of like personality to them, right? And then right here, oh my gosh, this is literally one of my favorite cards ever. We have the Three of Swords here, and usually this card is representative of a heart with three swords like being like thrusted into the heart. And as you can tell, that is usually talking about heartbreak. It's about sadness. It's about breakups, traumatic events. And this card is obviously a little bit different and obviously deviated from the normal depiction. But I think that it deviated in the most wonderful of ways, because you can tell that this woman, she is literally holding three swords in her hand, and she is walking away from this man here. There is like a red rose. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there is a red rose in the snow, and this man just looks so upset. He looks so sad, and you can tell that he's being kind of rejected here. And what's so sweet too is that this woman, she also looks kind of sad. She looks upset. And so it kind of shows like both sides of a heartbreak, right? It shows the person who is being heartbroken, but it also shows the person who is having to make that decision to hurt that other person and to go their own separate way here. And so I think that this deck really helps you connect to each of the cards, and it helps you like see things from a different perspective. And I just think that this illustrator, Anna Kay, she did such an incredible job. And this is a Tower card here as well, but I would recommend this to anybody that is starting out in tarot. And I just think that this is an essential deck for anybody that is interested in tarot as well. So yes, guys, this is the Anna Kay Tarot, and it is written by Miss Anna Kay, and it's also illustrated by her as well. I don't have the book on me right now, but I do think that the book is also a really good book as well. She does do a really good job at explaining each of the cards in depth. I think she also gives reversals within that guidebook as well. So if you are a fan of guidebooks, then I do think that that would be a really good guidebook to add to your collection too. So yes, guys, this is the Anna Kay Tarot, and it is amazing, right? And what better card to end this off at than with the Six of Rods, which is literally the card of victory. It's the card of triumph. And I think that if you got this deck for yourself, that it would be a very triumphant deck to add to your collection, right? So yes, guys, that is the Anna Kay Tarot. Okay, guys, so for the third deck that I'm going to be talking about today, we have the Tarot of the Abyss by Miss Anna Turian, okay? So this deck is one of my most unique decks that I have within my collection, because this is a black and white deck, and I am usually the type of girl who I am a fan of lighter decks. I'm also a fan of very pretty and sweet decks as well. I'm just somebody who I don't really like tough love. I like things to be given to me in a very sweet and kind way, and I feel as though like darker decks, especially black and white decks, they are a bit more darker than my usual taste would permit, right? But there is something about this deck, like from the moment that I saw it, I just thought it was so amazing, and it really caught my attention. This is the back of the deck right here. I really like this drawing here. It's really cool. It's really just unique, you know, to say the least, and I'm a fan of it for sure. So for the actual like pictures, the actual depictions. What I like most about this deck is that because it is black and white, you know, instead of myself usually focusing on like the really pretty bright colors, I really have to dig deep and just look at the people's expressions, right? And I feel like Miss Anna Torian, she did such an amazing job at showing like how the person is feeling. And I mean, just looking at the wise one, like this is a little bit different from what we usually see in the Rider-Waite Smith tarot deck, but right here, we see a Native American man. He has the full like headpiece on, and you can see that he has two people on either side of him, and you can tell that they are gathered around this fire and that he's sharing with them like wisdom. And I just think that this is such an incredible like expression of what the Hierophant is all about. And I just think that every card like here, you can just see and feel like what each of the characters are feeling. And so if you are somebody who you are all about like trying to feel what each of the characters are feeling, then I definitely think that this is an amazing deck for you. I mean, just look at the strength card here. It is so gorgeous. And what I love about this is that the lion or the tiger, like this lion looks so fierce, but the woman right next to him, she looks equally as fierce. I'm not sure if you can see it or if you can pick up on it, but the girl here, she is literally like smizing like Tyra Banks, and she just looks so strong. And I am just so in love with the way that each card is interpreted. At the end of the day, I really just love the whole nature scene and the nature vibes to this deck as well. So if you are somebody who you like working with nature, you know, you are a fan of nature, if you like to practice like paganism or something like that, I think that this would be a really good choice for you as well. So yes, guys, I do have to say though, you know, this deck does deviate a lot from the traditional Rider-Waite Smith deck. So I honestly would not recommend this for a beginner, for a first tarot deck. But at the end of the day, you know, it is your opinion and it is your choice. And I feel like if you are willing to put in the work and the effort, if you are willing to work really hard to figure out each of the meanings, then I do think that you can start out with any tarot deck that you want, you know. And if you are drawn to this deck, then I do think that this would be an amazing choice for you too, because, you know, this really also helps you with your intuition. It helps you really develop that sense of intuition as you follow your gut and look at what each of the characters are being depicted as feeling, and you form your own meanings and ideas for what the card is trying to depict, right? So I do think that this deck and the Anna K tarot deck are really good in really depicting expressions and emotions and feelings. It really does make you feel. And I really, really, really am such a big fan of this deck. Now that I have gotten a black and white deck and I've connected to it in this way, I am definitely interested in buying more black and white decks. So if you are also a fan of black and white decks and you have some suggestions, then please, you know, help a girl out. Maybe put some of those suggestions down below so that I can take a look at those black and white decks as well. As far as the guidebook goes, I do think that the author does a really good job at summarizing what each of the cards mean. You know, this is not a little white book by any means, but, you know, the author does not go into great detail explaining each of the cards, but at the same time, she still gives you a fair amount of information to glean from. So yes, guys, I think that this is an amazing deck, and if you are a fan of black and white decks, then definitely check this one out for sure. That is the Tarot of the Abyss by Miss Anne Torian. Okay, all right, guys, so for my fourth for my fourth deck on this collection video, we have the Tarot of Mystical Moments, and this is by Miss Katrine Welts Stein. I love this deck, okay, because I am the biggest fan of like collage decks. I'm the biggest fan of like vintage type of decks. So whenever I saw this deck, I just knew it was meant for me. You know, I do want to give a little disclaimer again. If you are somebody who you are more new to tarot, then I definitely think that you may not want to start out with this deck because it does have more like deviances from the Rider-Waite-Smith and how it's usually depicted. It is kind of doing its own thing. So if you are a beginner, I would recommend maybe trying to start out with a different deck, like maybe the Everyday Witch Tarot for sure. But, you know, if you are a fan of this, then definitely, you know, check it out because it is amazing. And if you feel drawn to it, then do you, okay? It is amazing. So, you know, just talking about like the backs of the cards here, I'm not sure if you can see it that well because honestly my light is like shining quite brightly here. But let me see. I really want you guys to be able to see this. I'm not sure if you can. I'm sorry if you can't, guys. But this is just a really, like, light design. The backs are, like, a light gray here. And then there is, like, a like darker like taupe type of color where it's like being outlined in like pretty little like Victorian-esque images here. It is really beautiful. It has like some twirlies on there and I am just a fan of the back of the decks here. And you know what I really love about it is that this deck does come with silver edges here, and I am a big fan of the edges. And what I love about it too is that I have been working with this deck for a while. I've had it for about maybe 5 to 6 months, give or take, and this deck still looks really good. It does not look like it is that worn at all. But now, getting to the actual part that you guys are here to see, right? We have the actual card depictions right here. So this is the Five of Swords. Guys, I literally think that this is one of the most beautiful cards, one of the most beautiful depictions of the Five of Swords ever, because I like to think of the Five of Swords as kind of having a bit of a victim mentality, you know, kind of allowing, you know, other people to let you like feel very negative and very pessimistic, right? And you know, you can see this woman and she's holding a flower, a white flower, and it is covering like the side of her face here. So it kind of looks like, you know, she's being overshadowed a bit, if that makes any sense. Like she's kind of hiding herself out of fear of the fact that she does have like negative feelings, right, of herself. She is a bit insecure. And then you can see this man in the back, like this shadowy figure, and you can tell that this man is really like in her thoughts a lot, and this man is causing her to feel very insecure and feel very upset. And I think that that is just an incredible depiction of the Five of Swords. It is so beautiful, and every card is more like prettier than the last, and it is just so unique. This is right here the Knight of Swords. I just really love this deck, and it is a bit strange. You know, it is, there are some like weirder images on it, but I think that it really works, and I just think that this is such an amazing deck to add to your collection. And I'm just a really big fan of it, right? Ooh, guys, look, I love this card. This is the Six of Wands. And you know, the Six of Wands is all about feeling very victorious, feeling like you are achieving something. Looking at this woman, like, on this bird, you know, she is controlling this bird by, like, holding, like, a flower in front of it and getting it to go where she wants it to go, right? And so she just looks so confident and so fierce, like, riding this bird. And it's so amazing. And I just think that every card here, oh, my kitty cat is coming to say hi. I just think that every card here really makes you stop and think, and it just adds on, and it just causes you to really look at the tarot in a different way than you had previously looked at it, right? So yes, guys, that is what I have to say about this deck right here. It is beautiful. It is Victorian. You know, it does have like some pic collaging going on. So if those are things that you like to hear about, if those are things that you like, then definitely pick this deck up and add it to your collection. Mwah! I love you, baby. Okay, guys, so now for my last mass-produced deck, I have the Artist's Inner Vision tarot deck. I think that is what it's called. But guys, I love this deck so much. It literally came in this gorgeous, you know, card holder, right, in this little card bag, and it is so beautiful. I freaking love it. But opening this bag, we have these gorgeous cards here, okay? Now, I do want to tell you that this did come like in a box set, okay? It came with an amazing guidebook. It came in a pretty decent box, but honestly, guys, I think that, you know, with this gorgeous card bag coming with it, I just don't think that it needed the box, right? So I did kind of like get rid of that, and now I just have it like being stored in this. But taking a look like at the card backs here, this is so amazing. This is actually like my newest deck. I literally got it like a few days ago, but it is a deck that I have been wanting for ages, but I just never thought that I was ready for it, because this deck is honestly probably one of my most unique decks that I have, because this is a pic collage deck, but this is also a deck that is a collectively made deck, okay? And what I mean by that is that 26 artists came together to create this deck. So each of the cards has its own unique type of art style, right? And it is a bit different. Each card varies from its depictions, and I will say that this is not a deck that I would recommend for a beginner at all. This is a deck that I would probably recommend to somebody who feels a bit more confident within their tarot reading skills and they want a bit more of a challenge. But I think that if you are somebody who you are a bit more like into like the intermediate level of your tarot journey, if you are definitely somebody who you like to read intuitively, then I would recommend this deck to you for sure, because I think that this deck does an amazing job at really allowing you to use your intuition and to unlock those skills. But this is a 90s deck, and you can kind of tell that this is a 90s deck, like just with like this pic collage going on here. It really does just give me like the 90s vibes. You know, we have like a little baby here. We have like some, you know, little I think those are postcard things, like the stamp things right there. And guys, it just feels very 90s to me. I can't really explain why it feels like the 90s, but it just gives me that feeling, right? It gives me those vibes. But taking a look at what the actual cards look like, here we go. This is literally the Three of Wands, and I love this card. It is so amazing. It is so beautiful. This is the King of Swords. So already you can tell that the styles are extremely different. I do want to say that the 26 artists who did create this deck, they each made 3 cards within this deck. So there is still like a really good like cohesive type of tethering that each of the cards have together, if that makes any sense. I think that the overall style really works very well together. So even though there are like different depictions and different art styles, I think that all in all, it all works very well together, and it's just a vibe for sure. This is the Temperance card, and then our next card, we have the 5 of Cups right here. I love this moment right here. We kind of have like the free the nip thing going on, which is way above its time, because I don't think that was a thing in the 90s, but I love it and I am here for it. You know, I myself, I do not have the courage to go out in nipple tassels or to even get like nipple piercings. I am not that cool. But, you know, I am definitely here to cheer on other women who, you know, are into that thing for sure. You know, go you. If that is your thing, you are definitely more courageous than I am. You're definitely more adventurous. Guys, this is literally one of my favorite depictions of the Ace of Cups ever. because I don't know if you can see this, but this shows like a woman here, and she is diving into her cup. And I just think that that really shows exactly like what the Ace of Cups is all about. This talks about somebody who is so overflowing with love. This talks about, you know, new love as well, and feeling so excited about that new love. And you can tell this woman diving into her cup, like diving into that cup filled with love. Like, she looks like she's excited for sure, right? So I just think that this is such an amazing depiction, and that artist did an incredible job at showing like what the Ace of Cups is all about. And I love this deck, right? It is incredible. This is the Eight of Wands, and you can see how things are kind of moving really fast. Things look kind of warped, right? Like this person is in like the multiverse or something, and it's really cool. There's like a bicyclist down here, there's a horse, and this woman is like reaching out. It's really cool. It's a vibe for sure. This is really like one of my favorite decks that I have ever gotten. And then I do want to talk about the booklet that we have here. This is, yes, it is the Artist's Inner Vision. Okay, right here. Yeah, the Artist's Inner Vision Tarot. And this is by No Monette. And this guidebook, I think, does an amazing job at like really explaining everything. You know, there is like, so I'm not sure if you can tell, but there is like a lot of words written out here. And what I really like about this is that the artist, Miss No Monette, the one who like illustrated, or excuse me, the one who wrote this book, she talks about each of the individual cards, and then in the back here she had the artists who created each of the cards. She had them come in and explain like their creative process and how they actually made each of the cards here. And so if you are somebody who you are into art, if you are into that kind of thing, if you like pic collaging, then literally like she took the time to have the artists explain their creative process, and I think that that is so incredible to have and to read about. And then what I also really liked about this guidebook is that in the end, like at the end of each description for the cards, she gives an example, like a movie example or a book example, to help you be able to connect, you know, the card to a movie, which I think is really cool. Like just reading about the Ace of Cups, literally we have this, the Ace of Cups, you have a person diving right here. It says, the movie Little Woman has a lot of potential in the realm of relationships and a lot of the energy of the Ace of Cups. All four of these sisters share strong attachments to one another and their parents, and win or lose emotional attachments to young men in the movie. So I just think that that is a really interesting thing to do. And do keep in mind that a lot of the movies that they're talking about are early 90s movies. So if you are not familiar with the 90s movies, then that might be hard for you to, you know, connect everything to each other. And I myself, you know, I'm a 2000s baby. I was born in 2000, so I actually don't really know as many of the movies that are being talked about here. But, you know, it does get me excited to, you know, maybe add those movies to my queue and to, like, watch those movies as well, because I do find myself being a little bit intrigued by the way that they're being compared to the cards here. So yes, guys, that is the Artist's Inner Vision Tarot. I just love this deck. It is one of my favorite decks so far, and it is a bit pricier. It is $45, so it kind of is up there a bit, but I definitely think that, you know, with it coming with this beautiful, you know, cloth here with this amazing guidebook and just the cards themselves, I think that this is a really good purchase, and this isn't something that I am upset about spending my money on, right? So we have now made it to the indie section of my tarot deck collection. Now, I do want to say the deck that I'm going to be talking about next, this isn't exactly an indie deck per se, but this is a deck that is not being sold anymore. So because it is off the market, you know, because it's not being mass produced, it does make it a very hard to come by type of deck, and so this is quite expensive. It is, you know, as expensive as a indie deck. So that is why I have it within the subcategory of like my indie deck purchases. Now, this deck is so incredible. This is the Guardian Angel Tarot cards, and this is written by Miss Doreen, or excuse me, this was made by Miss Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. Okay, so this is a deck that has actually been reproduced by Mr. Radley Valentine himself. He has made another deck with the same title on it. It is mass produced, but it has different pictures, and I do think that it could also have different little messages to it as well. But the reason why this man, Radley Valentine, has reproduced it himself and rebranded it the way that it has is because Doreen Virtue, she is the one who decided to pull the plug on this deck. You know, she didn't want her name attached to it, so he decided to revamp it by, you know, changing the illustrations a bit and changing some of the meanings to it as well, right? But taking a look at these cards, I just think that this deck is so incredible. I will say again, I do not recommend this to somebody who is a newbie within the tarot deck community for sure. If you are looking for your first deck, then I would probably say that you should steer away from this deck. But, you know, if you are interested in an oracle deck, then honestly, I would recommend you getting this deck as well because, ooh, the way that the cards are made, you know, there is like a little message for each of the cards here, and I feel like, you know, you could actually use this as an oracle deck as well as a tarot deck. So I think that that is really cool, and the way that it can be used, like, it varies. So that is really awesome. But, you know, just talking about this deck and the backs here, like, it is absolutely extraordinary. I love the whole like vintage look that it has going on here. You know, it shows like an angel, and there's like, it kind of looks like it's on like a tablecloth here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's definitely like a tablecloth lining here. But it is just so gorgeous. If you are somebody who you like decks that are a little bit like gentler, you like decks that are sweeter, then this is definitely like the deck for sure, because this is literally branded as, it says right here, the world's gentlest and sweetest tarot cards. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's written right there. So if you are somebody who you're a bit intimidated by, you know, the tarot decks and just the depictions that are on it, then I would definitely recommend that you check this deck out. As you can tell, there are some gold gilding on it. Now, I had to get this deck used because of the fact that this is not a mass-produced deck anymore. But, you know, while it does look quite worn, like on the edges here, and there are some scrapes and whatnot, the gilding is coming off a bit. I think that it just adds on to the, like, Victorian-esque type of old style that it has going on for it. So I don't think that the marred gilding, you know, mars the message at all. I don't think that it ruins the cards by any means. But just taking a look at the pictures here, I just love the depictions. You know, like I said, this deck does not stay true to the Rider-Waite-Smith depictions. So if you are a fan of that, then I would definitely say that you should check out something else. But I do want to just quickly, you know, read what these cards have to say so you get like a good idea as to what you can expect if you wanted to purchase this deck. So just taking a look at this card, this is backwards, sorry, but this is the Seven of Thought, right? And the Seven of Thought, that's usually all about feeling a bit confused, feeling like you have a lot of ideas, you have a lot of things that you want to do, but you don't exactly know what choice you should make. And sometimes those choices that you have to make are even more like of an illusion than it is of an opportunity or of a choice. Does that make sense? So let me go ahead and just read what it says really quickly about that. It says, you have been confused about a situation in your life, and now suddenly everything is completely clear to you. Whether the truth was revealed by your angels, disclosed by a friend, or discovered on your own, it feels great to be awake and aware. feel free to ask for time alone if that's what you need. So as you can tell, you know, instead of being a little bit more pessimistic, instead of giving you like the hard truths of what each card means, you know, this deck does add like a sweeter side and a sweeter message to each of the meanings here. So if you are somebody who you like your truth, but you like it to be given to you with a bit of sugar added to it and a cherry on top, then this is definitely the deck for you. This does talk about like angels and things like that. So if you are somebody who you don't really like hearing about angels, you're not a fan of like Christianity type of themes, then this may not be the deck for you. But I think that, you know, this is definitely something that you could get past, especially because I just think that this deck is really beautiful. And if you want to give it a try, if you are interested in like the style, then I would recommend this to you and to honestly anybody. Like, I just love this deck. It makes me so happy, and I just like sweet decks. I am the biggest like lover of fluffy and sweet things. So yeah, obviously this is my vibe. And what I really like about this is I like how like in the background there is like this wallpaper like in each of the cards. I think that that is like really cool to see, and I honestly just haven't seen that many decks that are like similar or as similar to this one. Like, I've never seen a deck that looks like this and that gives off the same vibe. So that is why I really like this deck. That is why I'm a big fan of it. And I'm really happy that I got it to add to my collection for sure. And I was definitely not mad about spending the amount of money that I had to spend, which was about like $70. Honestly, it was a lot, but it was worth it, in my opinion, right? So that's what I have to say about the Guardian Angel Tarot deck. I also think that, you know, I didn't talk about it, but I also think that the book, the guidebook, was really good as well. It does give you, like, extra meanings to, like, the little like paragraph that they give you on each of the cards too as well. Okay, so yes guys, that is the Guardian Angel Tarot deck by Miss Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. So now moving on, okay? So now moving on, for our next deck, we have the Forhaxa, or the Forhaxa Tarot, and this is by MJ Colonnay. Now guys, I love this deck. One of my favorite things about this deck, you know, not focusing on the art, which is absolutely divine, is the fact that the cards literally feels like butter. Okay, like it is like so smooth. I wish you could tell how smooth it is. It just glides so well, but at the same time, there is still like this matte quality about it, and it's just like an amazing like melting pot of just everything I would want in the way that a deck feels and in its texture and in its quality. And I can definitely tell that this is the type of deck that, while it is on the glossier side, this is something that I feel like will age very well, and I feel like it won't get all like messed up as I continue to work with it. And that is a really big thing and a really big deal for me to say, because I am honestly really rough with my decks. I like to shuffle it. I am pretty hard on them, and I shouldn't be like that. I know I'm a bit abusive and I'm working on it, but you know, this is a deck that can handle that abuse, right? It is so incredible, and it is made so well. And what I also really like about this is that while the cards are so gorgeous, it is so beautiful, it has such an amazing quality to it. This is like one of my cheaper indie decks that I have purchased. I think this was $45, and that is like pretty cheap for an indie deck. Like, that is a really great price range, okay? So if you are somebody who you are branching out, maybe you have a lot of mass-produced decks, you don't have as many indie decks, and you want to buy your first indie deck, then I would recommend you to check this deck out for sure, because this is on the cheaper side, but it still gives you great quality. It has a pretty nice guidebook, and the cards are just absolutely gorgeous, right? So this is like the front, or excuse me, the back of the cards here. This is the depiction for the card back. It is so beautiful. You know, there's like some feathers on it, I think those are feathers, and it's just beautiful. It is like a green color, a deep green, and I just think that that is a really like pretty color for the card backs here. Now taking a look at the art, like guys, this is so beautiful. I freaking love each of the cards here. This is more of like a fairy deck. It's very whimsical, and so if you are into like the fantasy element of things, then I would definitely recommend you checking this deck out. Again, this is a deck that deviates from the normal like Rider-Waite-Smith type of depiction, so if you are somebody who you are more of a fan to the standard type of depictions, then I definitely wouldn't recommend this deck. Guys, I think that this is so gorgeous. This is the Ten of Swords here being depicted, and the Ten of Swords is all about endings. It's all about heartbreak and sadness, and you can tell literally that this girl is so upset. There's blood, so you can tell that, you know, it looks like this woman had her wings ripped off of her. So this is such an emotional card. This really makes you just feel so much whenever you are looking at each of the cards here, and it is just rife with amazing imagery. The paintings, the colors that were used are so gorgeous, and this is a very feminine deck as well. I don't think that there are any men within this deck, so if you are somebody who you like to have more of a balanced type of deck, then I definitely wouldn't recommend this. I would actually recommend the Tarot of Abyss that I was talking about earlier. I think that that is a very well balanced deck for sure. But yes, guys, this is the Forhaxa deck, okay, the Forhaxa Tarot deck, and as I said before, this is by Miss M.J. Cullinane, okay. I just really like this deck. It is so gorgeous and beautiful and whimsical. If you like fairies, if you are into that sort of thing, then I would definitely recommend this deck for you. Talking about my next deck, we have the Lucid Dreams Beginner's Tarot. Now this deck was quite pricey. It was, I think, $75. I think that's how much it was. Maybe it was a little bit less, but I just think that this deck was worth every penny, and I think that this is an amazing beginner's tarot deck for anybody that is just starting out. Like I said, you know, this is literally made for a beginner, for a newbie, because literally, like, the front of the deck says Lucid Dreams Beginner's Tarot. And what I love about this is that each card has keywords within it. But, you know, just talking about, like, the way that the cardstock is, this does have, like, a very, like, linen feel to it. So I would describe it as feeling very, like, cardboardy. And I'm the type of person who I am more of a fan of the glossier type of style. I really like the Forhaxa Tarot. I love the style of that. But, you know, while I was a bit like not as cool with it when I first got it, you know, I've realized that linen cardstock is incredible, because while it does have like a sandpapery type of feel to it, it is a type of cardstock that will last the longest, okay? This type of cardstock is just very durable. It's the type of cardstock that I could just mess with like all day long. I could be as hard as I want to be with it. You know, I can literally be as abusive as I want to it, and it is just not going to show any signs of wear or tear. So I absolutely love that, okay? And then I love the gilding here, and I don't know what type of gilding this person used for it, but this gilding is so amazing. It is not like any gilding that I've ever seen. I can tell again that this gilding is just very durable. I have had this deck for a little while. I have not seen any type of wear or tear to it, and I just think that overall this deck is such an amazing deck to start out with. If you are somebody who you just want to get one deck, you just want to have one deck for you, then I would definitely recommend you getting this deck, especially if you are a newbie as well. And it is a little bit expensive. It is a little bit on the higher side of things, but I think that it is a deck that is worth every single penny, because I think that this deck can literally last years. And as I said, just like the coloring, the designs, the keywords, it is amazing. But now actually focusing on the art and the like actual depictions on this deck, let's get into that. Okay, so this is like the back of the deck here, the back of the cards, and it has like a beautiful gold sun. You know, there's beautiful gilding on here as well, which we love to see. It is so beautiful. And then looking at the actual pictures, this is the Four of Pentacles here. As you can tell, there are keywords up here and also down here. Down here, these are the reverse meanings. So if this card were to fall like this, then the meanings are right here. And I do just want to really quickly read the meanings for you, just so that you get an idea as to, you know, what type of keywords there are gonna be, right? So for the Four of Pentacles, you know, the Four of Pentacles is usually all about feeling like you need to hold in your wealth. You don't really want to spend it a lot. This talks about feeling a little bit like you need like some type of control. You're a big fan of control, right? So this is what it has to say about this. It says possessiveness, insecurity, fragility, saving money, security, conservatism, solid investment, guarded, long-term security. Then for the reverse meaning, we have generosity, giving, overspending, greed, openness, financial insecurity, and recklessness. So that gives you a good idea as to keywords. And then on the sides, they also have like the astrology associations to it as well, and any other symbolism that they feel like is associated to each of the cards, right? So this is the second card. This is the Death card. And each card has like gold gilding on it. As you can tell, there's some gold gilding right here. That is the Strength card. And I just think that these cards are so gorgeous. It is so freaking beautiful. And these cards did come with these beautiful little rocks here that I have, these beautiful crystals. And I am a big fan of them. As you can tell, I literally have them right here. But I think that that is also really cool to see as well. Ooh, guys, I really like this guy here because he kind of reminds me of Legolas from Lord of the Rings. He has like this gorgeous, like long blonde hair, and he literally looks like an elf. But what I like about these cards here is that this does give me like more of an old world type of feel, and that is just like my vibe. Like that's my jam. It's my peanut butter and jelly jam, and I really like it. And I just think that this is an amazing starter deck for anybody that is interested in dipping their toes in tarot for sure. So yes, guys, that is the Lucid Dreams Beginners Tarot. Guys, look at this. That is literally the Lovers card, and it is so beautiful. I love this. I love this deck. It is so beautiful, and the guidebook is really good as well. Like I said, this is made for a beginner, so the guidebook does a really good job at introducing the tarot deck, and it doesn't just talk about tarot as well. It talks about like the numerology associations and the astrological associations for each of the cards, so it does a really good job at explaining what each of the cards mean, right? So that is really cool to see as well. That is the Lucid Dreams Tarot deck. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next deck, okay? To wrap up this deck collection video, I have my Trippin Waite tarot deck. I honestly can't remember who made this tarot deck, but I will have it like in the description box below and like on the side of this video too. But this is such an incredible deck. It came with this velvet wrap to it. I will tell you that there is like no guidebook to this deck, but you don't really need it, honestly. This is a standard like Rider-Waite-Smith type of deck, but it just has its own like theme to it. And as you can tell, it's like a hippie type of theme, which is literally like, I love it because, like I was saying, I am the biggest fan of colors and just like happy and cool decks, and I feel like this is just such a vibe and I freaking love it. I honestly wish that I was a hippie myself and that I like to smoke weed, because if I did, anytime I use this deck, I would totally be under the influence. Because I just feel like it would go great with this deck, right? Because it's a hippie deck, and come on, the hippies, they were into like getting down, right? They like to get jiggy with it, but let's go ahead and just talk about the cards. This is a very like glossy type of deck, so if you like glossy, then this deck could literally be your new BFF because it is very, very glossy and slick, and I love glossy, so I love this deck. Taking a look at the back of the deck, I love this little rainbow here. I just think that this is so original. I haven't seen any other card back that is similar to this, and I just love it. This deck is just so unique. I love the Lovers card here. It is so beautiful, and I just think that if you are a fan of bright colors, if you are a fan of the Rider-Waite-Smith like traditional depictions, then this is definitely your freaking jam because it stays true to the Rider-Waite-Smith depictions, but it also just adds an extra flair by adding these trippy colors. And what I love is that the Pentacles deck, the court cards for the Pentacles, their clothing literally has like marijuana on it, and I think that that is so cool because, you know, the Pentacles is all about the earth. It's all about growing slowly, right, and expanding your wealth. So I think that that is literally an amazing depiction for that. And I just love this freaking deck. It is so gorgeous. It is happy-go-lucky, and if you are a fan of like the 70s, if you are a fan of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith depictions, then I definitely think that this is something that you need to add to your collection because it is amazing. So yes, guys, that is the Trippin Waite tarot deck. I just love this deck so much, and I would really recommend it to anybody that loves these gorgeous, you know, rainbows and bright colors and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Alright guys, so that is the end of this video today. If you have made it to the ending, then oh my gosh, I love you so much. You are incredible because I do realize that this was probably a really long video today. I just like to talk a lot, and I especially like to talk about tarot decks. So this was such a fun video for me, and I hope that this was fun for you. If you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe to my channel. I normally post pick a card readings every Monday and Friday, and if you are a fan of pick a card readings, then you would definitely be a fan of this channel. At least I hope. But yes, guys, if you like this video, please give it a big like, subscribe to my channel, and I love you all so much, and I hope that you have a fantastic day, okay? Mwah. Bye, guys.